Are you tired of using your guns like guns? If your answer is yes, you're in luck. TDR weapons are designed to have unique reloads that deal damage when you throw your gun at an enemy, and the parts are going to determine how that gun behaves when it's reloaded. We're going to be taking a look at the parts that can spawn on non-unique and non-legendary Tediore pistols. Fortunately, they don't have a lot of parts, but they do have very interesting combinations of parts that will affect how they reload. We're going to start off by looking at the 4 Tediore modules. You will have one of these on every Tediore pistol you find, and they will drastically differ from each other. The first module shown here is the Bouncey module. This one has a negative 30% weapon sway listed twice for whatever reason. I'm guessing this is a bug. And then negative 5% accuracy, which is a bonus here and anywhere you see negative accuracy. None of this really matters because you're probably just going to shoot one bullet and then reload. The important piece here is that this will cause your reloaded weapon to bounce multiple times before detonating. It's basically like a rubberized grenade. If you get it close enough to an enemy, it will tend to change its trajectory and bounce into them. The next module will be the homing module. This one will decrease accuracy bloom by 30% and give you a 5% damage boost. The damage boost is nice, but the important thing here is again going to be the effect, which will cause your reloaded gun to home in on enemies. Next we have the leg module, which will provide recoil height reduction of 30% and a fire rate boost of 5%. When you throw this one, the gun will sprout legs and stick to surfaces. It will remain stationary until an enemy is nearby, at which point it will leap once towards an enemy and then walk towards them. If there are no enemies nearby, they will explode in place after a certain amount of time. The last module is the Tediore module, which is going to increase your splash damage radius by 20%. There's nothing fancy with this one. This one will explode on contact with an enemy, or after a certain amount of time if no enemy is hit. There are other parts that we'll see later that will impact the reload, but for now we're going to take a look at the body. All Tediore pistols are going to have the same body no matter the rarity. This is it here, and it will have 3 accessories. The first shown here will provide a damage increase of 10%. This next one is going to increase the magazine size by 10% at the cost of a 10% accuracy penalty and a 5% damage penalty. The last one here on top of the body will increase your splash damage radius by 20% and provide a 7.5% accuracy penalty. Next, we're going to take a look at the different barrels that can spawn. The barrels are going to give the guns their base name, and each one can spawn with its own set of accessories that won't be shared with the other barrels. In addition, 3 of the barrels each have an accessory that will modify the thrown reloaded weapon. First, we'll take a look at the Deadshot Barrel. This one has an accessory that will cause a bubble to form around the thrown gun that you can shoot to increase the explosion radius and ensuing damage. It takes about a second for the bubble to form, but you can shoot it as soon as it's up. This doesn't really modify the modules in any special way, but it does add a pretty interesting mechanic to Tediore pistols, because you want to shoot the bubble before it hits an enemy. It's easiest to do this with either the homing or leg modules because they're going to chase down targets, giving them a little more room for error. With the Bouncey and Tediore modules, it's up to you to get the gun close enough to an enemy to shoot the bubble. In addition, this accessory will give you a 20% splash damage radius increase and a 10% damage increase. The other accessories this barrel has include one that gives you a damage bonus of 10%, and then another that gives you a fire rate bonus of 10%, a mag size bonus of 10%, a damage penalty of 5%, and a 10% accuracy penalty. The next barrel we're going to take a look at is the Quickshot Barrel. This one can spawn with an accessory that will cause your weapon to fire when you reload it. This is pretty cool with the leg module because when you throw your gun will target an enemy and then charge at them after it empties its magazine, instead of charging them immediately. It works alright with the homing module once it has a target, but before that it's just shooting off into space. For the other two, it probably won't be that effective because they likely won't be pointing towards enemies. This accessory will increase your fire rate by 10%. This barrel also has another 2 accessories. The first will provide an accuracy bonus of 15%. And the second will decrease recoil height by 25% and increase fire rate by 10%. The third barrel we'll look at is the Sureshot Barrel. This one has an accessory that will spawn child projectiles when your gun explodes after reloading. This accessory is really nice with the homing module because the child projectiles will home in on a target rather than the gun. The child projectiles with the Bouncey module will bounce around for a while, and the other ones explode once they impact an enemy or a surface, covering a large area. This accessory comes with a mag size increase of 7, a damage increase of 4.5%, and an accuracy penalty of 10%. This one can spawn with 2 additional accessories. The first one will give a 15% accuracy bonus, and the second one here will also provide a 15% accuracy bonus. The last barrel is the Alien Barrel, known as the Lurkshot Barrel. This barrel will provide a magazine size increase of 10% and will shoot projectiles that ricochet. It also consumes 2 ammo per shot. It doesn't really give any special effects to the reload. They all take on the behavior determined by their module. But the nice thing about the Lurkshot is that your gun will always be elemental. As far as I know, this barrel cannot spawn with any accessories. We're going to take a look at the 5 grips next, and we're going to start with the last part that can affect your reload. This grip will give your reloaded gun a rocket boost after a moment. It isn't that great for enemies that you're close to because of how long it takes for the rocket boost to activate, but can be nice for targets that are farther away. This grip additionally will provide an accuracy bonus of 12%, a magazine size increase of 3, and a damage penalty of 5%. The next grip will give you 1 additional projectile per shot at the cost of an accuracy bloom penalty of 25%, an accuracy penalty of 10%, and a damage penalty of 30%. The third grip will provide a recoil height reduction of 15% and a fire rate increase of 5%. The fourth grip will increase your splash damage radius by 20% and decrease recoil width by 30%. The last grip will give you 2 instances of negative 30% weapon sway like before with the Bouncey module, and a 5% damage increase. Next we have the scopes, of which there are 3. The first here will give you 1.5 times zoom. The second here will provide 2.2 times zoom. And the third will give you 4.5 times zoom. And there is the possibility that you get no sight on your gun. Tediore pistols can also spawn in all 5 elements, these being fire, shock, corrosive, cryo, and radiation. However, most of the time you will probably see no element. Here's a spreadsheet showing all of the parts that I found on Tediore pistols. There will be a link in the description with all of this information and all of the other weapons I've covered to this point. Anyways guys, that's gonna do it for Tediore pistols. See ya.